Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you all about Shadow, the new damage type added in Season 3. They are part of the Necrosis element. Before I get to that though, first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to Dragonheir Silent Gods for supporting my channel and sponsoring this video. If you are interested in giving Dragonheir a try, please do hit the link in the description and get involved today. It will also be in the pinned comment for you to access. So, in terms of the Shadow damage dealers, they are new to Season 3, which officially launches on the 22nd of March for anybody who started on global launch. If you didn't start then and started a little bit later, it will be at the end of Season 2 for you. Obviously, that does vary for every single server, but you'll start to see a lot more content coming out on Season 3 as of Friday when it goes live for everybody who is currently up to date. So, with every new season so far, so Season 2 and Season 3, 3 new damage types have been added. This time around, we've had Aura, we've had Shadow, and we've had Corrosion for the poison element. So in this video, as I said, I'm going to be showing you all about Shadow. Shadow are incredibly unique in terms of how things have been so far in the game. We're so used to seeing ultimate energy, however, that is no more for Shadow damage dealers. So Shadow damage dealers, instead of ultimate energy, they consume Shadow energy. So Shadow energy does not increase over time, but it is gained by attacking or casting skills. And some Shadow energy heroes can restore Shadow energy for their teammates. So that will be the kind of enablers for the team, where they'll use a skill and pump everybody's Shadow energy up. A lot of their skills focus around maintaining their Shadow energy after they use their ultimate skill. Whether that be to stay in a special form, which we'll talk about in a minute, or whether it be to enhance their abilities. But the more Shadow energy you're able to gain, the more damage you're going to do in realistically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the new heroes added. As you can see, there are 7 total. So we've got 3 legendaries, 3 epics, and then just the 1 rare for the Shadow damage dealers. So first up, we've got Aspalta. So Aspalta is a melee Shadow legendary. On her aura, she brings 30% attack in all battles to her allies. Her passive skill deals damage, dealing damage grants Shadow energy. Whenever the hero has enough Shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. As the battle starts, grants 100 stacks of Heart of Hate to all Shadow allies, and that loses 1 stack of this status every 1 second afterwards. So each stack of that increases the damage dealt by 0.5%. So at the very start of the fight, you're going to be gaining 50% damage increase, and obviously that will disintegrate over the first 100 seconds. So next up, we've got the battle skill. So Assassin throws a Shadow Blade at the target, dealing 300% attack necrotic damage and 200% attack necrotic damage to enemies within target centered range. In the meantime, also gains 10 Shadow energy for each enemy hit, and an additional 200% Shadow energy when casting this skill for the first time in battle. On her ultimate skill, she grants 20 Shadow energy to all Shadow allies, strikes enemies within range 3 times, each dealing 200% attack necrotic damage, and ignoring 50% of the enemy's defense. So Aspalta is kind of an all-out damage dealer, but you've got to remember on her ultimate, she is also granting Shadow energy to all her allies, which is going to be really important when we look at some of the later on skills. So next up, we've got another very unique hero in Daphne. So Daphne's aura is 45% attack in dungeon battles. So that is incredibly strong if you're running a Shadow team. It is a huge amount of attack boost. On her passive skill, dealing damage grants Shadow energy. Whenever the hero has enough Shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill, and the hero gains an additional 20% Shadow energy. Also, if the hero possesses a target when gaining Shadow energy, the possessed target gains the same amount of Shadow energy. So pay attention to that possesses. This is something we've not seen before. It is a really new and exciting skill. So first of all, we'll cover the battle skill. Randomly attacks up to 3 enemies, dealing 350% attack, necrotic damage, and gaining 10 Shadow energy on each enemy hit. This skill can be cast when possessing an ally. So because of how her passive works, that Shadow energy is going to go to whoever she is possessing as well, which we'll now cover on the ultimate skill, Embrace the Whale. So Daphne possesses an ally for 15 seconds, during which time the possessed target deals 80% attack necrotic damage to nearby enemies every 1 second. Possessed target gains attack up equal to 35% of Daphne's attack, and whenever the possessed target deals damage, 8% of that damage will be converted to their HP. So With this, you want to make sure your Daphne has a huge amount of attack to give your possessed target, a huge boost of their attack, obviously increasing their damage. They're also going to get constant boosts of shadow energy from Daphne's battle skill, which she can use while possessing somebody. This is really unique as it actually removes her from the battle, so she can't take any damage, she can't be hit by control, debuffs. It's almost as if she's not there. She merges with the person she chooses, whether that be your tank, another damage dealer, a healer. She completely removes herself and she is stuck on top of them, dealing passive damage to anybody nearby and boosting their shadow energy. So it is a really cool and unique skill. I would love to see it utilized a little bit more. I've only done a few kind of test runs with Shadow where I've let it run on auto. But I think if you're using Daphne and you're manualing, you could get a huge amount of benefit from this, making sure the correct hero is being targeted by her possession. Next up, we've got the exclusive legendary for Shadow, and that is Ozil. So Ozil is the obviously the hero who's got their own specific artifact. It's incredibly strong, and I think he's going to be the meta for PvP alongside the rest of Shadow. So first of all, we've got the attack aura, 45% attack for all allies in Grand Gladiator Arena battles. His passive skill, once again dealing damage to grants shadow energy. When the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. So this hero permanently gains 1 stack of undispellable host imprint for every 50 shadow energy obtained, up to 5 stacks. Host shadow is a buff that each stack increases his crit damage by 10% and his defense penetration by 5%. So eventually you're going to get 50% crit damage bonus and 25% ignore defense. One thing to mention is on his inspiration, this effect can stack up to 10 times, so 100% crit damage and 50% ignore defense, which is absolutely insane. It's such a boost to him if you're able to fully inspire him. Realistically, that's not for a lot of people. It's definitely not for me. I have tested him inspired on the test server, but that's about as close as I'll ever get to fully inspiring, especially an exclusive legendary. So on his battle skill, he fires an orb at the target, dealing 330% attack necrotic damage to the target and enemies around them. When this hero is in demon form, it deals 600% attack necrotic damage to enemies within 2 tiles and around the hero instead. So he then gains 20 shadow energy. Next up, on his ultimate skill, transforms into a demon when in the designated location. While in demon form, the hero gains attack speed up and damage reduction, with their basic attacks splashing on enemies around the target. Then deals 750% necrotic damage to enemies within range. The hero consumes 10 shadow energy for every 1 second in demon form and exits when the shadow energy is depleted. So with this skill, you want to make sure you've got lots of heroes pumping shadow energy into Ozil and making sure that he maintains that form for as long as possible. I imagine, I haven't tested it fully, but attack speed is probably very good for him. The amount of attacks he's dealing, obviously when he's in that demon form, the more attacks he's doing, the more damage he's doing. It's really important to obviously make the most of that demon form and push out as much damage as you can. I will show you his demon form at the end of this video in some footage I've recorded of testing out Shadow in various areas through dungeons and in the Vortex boss as well. But Ozil is so cool. The fact that he changes into a completely different form for his ultimate, it just looks incredible, and they've done a really good job on Ozil from what I can see. Next up, we've got Tatoth, one of the first epics. So Tatoth has an aura that increases attack by 30% in City of Trials battles. His passive skill deals damage, dealing damage grants shadow energy. Whenever the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. You're probably noticing a trend here. And whenever an enemy dies, the hero gains 10 shadow energy. Next up, we've got the battle skill. Fires an orb that can bounce up to 6 times between enemies. Each hit deals 180% attack necrotic damage and grants 5 shadow energy. So I believe the way this works is if it's used against a single target, you'll only get 1 benefit from it, so 5 shadow energy. If you can trigger all 6 hits of this, you're gaining a huge amount of shadow energy for your hero. Next up, on his ultimate skill, strikes enemies within range over time. Each strike consuming 20 shadow energy and dealing 150% attack necrotic damage on them. During a single cast of the skill, each strike increases the damage of the subsequent strike by 10%, up to 10 times. The final hit will deal a huge amount of damage. Of course, it does consume shadow energy though each time, so you're going to need somebody constantly boosting him to get the full effect of this. Next up, we've got Chitter. Chitter, in my opinion, is one of the coolest looking heroes coming to Season 3. I really like the kind of the rat vibe, but also how dark and, well, shadowy he is. I think it looks really cool. So on his aura, he gets Enlightenment by 48 in all battles, which is a bit of an odd number, but it is what it is. On his passive skill, he deals an additional 4% max HP necrotic damage whenever the hero's skill deals damage to enemies. So he's kind of a passive max HP damage dealer. On his battle skill, deals 280% attack necrotic damage to enemies within range and ignores 30% of their defense. When the skill hits 2 enemies or more, he then gains 30 shadow energy. On his ultimate skill, he strikes enemies within range 3 times, each strike dealing 240% necrotic damage. So Chitter's kind of a weird one. So he's just an outright damage dealer. He doesn't bring anything to the rest of your team. There's no boosting your shadow energy for the rest of your heroes. It's all about himself. However, that is not the case for Taudi. As you may recognize Taudi, it's a reskin of Varesh, the ice hero. So on Taudi's aura, we've got 30% defense in Grand Gladiator arena battles. The passive skill, once again, deals damage, dealing damage grants shadow energy, and whenever the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. When gaining shadow energy, however, it grants 30% of the attained energy to another shadow ally. Battle skill, cast this spell 3 times, each time grants the hero 20 shadow energy. Now bear in mind, 30% of that is transferred to another shadow ally, so it's constantly boosting them as well. That is on a, once booked, it's a 10-second cooldown, so you're going to be pumping quite a lot of shadow energy to your teammates. Next up, we've got the ultimate skill, strikes enemy within range 3 times, each strike dealing 235% attack necrotic damage and grants all shadow allies 10 shadow energy. So Taudi is almost pretty much an enabler for shadow damage dealers. Pumping that shadow energy on everybody is going to make a big difference and help you either deal more damage with your skills, use your ultimates more frequently, or in Ozil's case, stay in your demon form for much longer. So I think Taudi is probably going to be really important for a lot of shadow teams going into Season 3. Next up, we've got Sifla, the rare for shadow. So no aura, we've just got the passive skill here, dealing damage, grants shadow energy. Whenever the hero has enough shadow energy, they can cast their ultimate skill. Grants 20% attack up to all allies for 5 seconds once the hero's ultimate skill fully recharges. On her battle skill, slashes an enemy twice, each slash deals 200% necrotic damage and then gains 30 shadow energy. And finally, on the ultimate skill, releases shadow energy to strike the targeted location 3 times. Each strike deals 250% attack necrotic damage to enemies within range, with a 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. So Sifla looks relatively good for a rare. I do want to give her a try and see how she performs. I've not done that yet. But all in all, I think Shadow is really exciting. I love the new concept of replacing Ultimate Energy with their own type, with the Shadow Energy. As much as it works a similar way, hit max and you can use your skill. The fact that it's not on set timings, it's based on how much you can gain, how much you're attacking. I imagine that'll be quite hard to tune things because obviously you're gaining boosts constantly and it's not a set time. But yeah, all in all, I think Shadow are absolutely incredible. I love the form that Ozil picks up when he uses his ultimate skill. And if I cut to some footage now where I've been testing out and doing some runs, you'll be able to see that in place. Obviously, Ozil does become a demon instead of his normal ranged form. But that is all for my thoughts and my opinions of Shadow. What I'll do is I'll leave this running so you can watch another minute or so of this footage. But I do just want to say once again a huge thank you to Dragonheir for sponsoring this video and supporting my content. And obviously on a quite exciting Season 3 that's going to be coming for everybody. If you are interested in giving the game a go, please do hit the link in the description or the pinned comment. But other than that, thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one and enjoy the content.